Welcome back to Saturday Speed Shop. And on today's episode, we're going to do everything we can to make this car a little less sketchy on the road. In our last episode, we finally got her back on the road. We confirmed she does burnouts, transmission works, brakes are good, everything is awesome. But on this episode, we've got to go through the suspension, finish the exhaust, and do some steering, and all the little things to make this just a little bit better for the street. Stick around. So one of the things I wanted to do first to upgrade this a little better and get a little more performance is I wanted to change the metering rods and the jets in the carburetor. And I got a calibration kit from Edelbrock. And so we're going to pop off this top, change out the jets. We're going to go up one step, stage one, make it a little more rich. And then we're going to add new metering rods here as well, and those are going to step up to a stage one as well, and then that should help us get a little more juice out of that carburetor, and then we'll retime everything and go for a rip, see how she does. Okay, now that we've got the carb hat off, we've got our jets right there, right where the metering rod goes, one there and one there, and we're going to change them out. Okay, in our calibration kit, we've got some different sized metering rods and jets, and according to this little chart right here, we're at the base, we want to go stage one, more rich, and so that's going to be number 4. And if you calculate number 4, it gives you the part number of the jet and the part number of the rod. And I've already separated them, so I know that these are the correct rods right here. There's a little part number stamped on it, and then I know that these are the correct jets right here because I put them there earlier, and that's got the number 410 on it. Let me see, that might be the wrong one. Nope, that's it. So 410 and 410. So those are actually going to flow a little more fuel, and they're a little bit bigger, and we're going to go ahead and throw those in. I don't know if you can tell, but it's a slightly bigger hole, and that's going to allow this to run a little more rich. So we'll go ahead and throw that in now. Throw in the new jet. Now we'll just do the other side real quick, throw the metering rods in. We'll throw our top on, and then we'll take out the metering rods. I mean, you could probably do it right now, but just to keep it clean, we'll just throw this on, bolt it back on, and then we'll pop the covers for those. So there's just a little clip that's holding it on. You just pull that down, little spring, and that'll come right out like that. Go ahead and put your new one on. This. Put the little clip around it right there. And then don't forget your spring. We're not going to change this spring. We're going to leave it. And go ahead and put this right back where it was. Right through the hole. There you go. That's it. So one of the things I wanted to do on this car to make it a little more streetable, a little more efficient, is we need a kickdown switch. We don't have one on the car, and that's, plays a big role in why it doesn't feel so powerful when you get on it. There's no kickdown, there's no gear drop. It's a 3-speed transmission, so we need that drop so we can get a nice little torque action. So we're going to take off this nut right here. This is a little kit I bought, a little cheapy kit, but it's a little micro switch. And basically the way it's going to work is when you gas it, this is going to get action. It's going to click, and that's going to send a signal to the switch on the transmission through a wire, and that's going to drop the gear, and then we'll have that passing action. So let's get into that right now. At the same time, we're going to hook up our choke, because we never did that either, so we just need a ground and a positive. So whatever 12-volt ignition source I use to this, I'll split it to that, and they'll be okay on the same circuit. So we got our little wire hooked up right there to the switch on the transmission, and we're going to run that up to the little micro switch that I put on the carb. So I hooked up the choke, and also I hooked up the micro switch, tied them into the same 12-volt switch source, and then I grounded the choke to the switch mounting plate, which I checked the ohms, and there's no resistance, so that's good. It's got good ground. So I'm going to fire it up, see if the choke reacts, and then I'm going to go for a test drive and make sure the kickdown works. So I've had this tachometer for quite some years. I got it at a swap meet, and it's pretty ratty looking. It's old. I think it's from the 80s, and I just think it's super cool. And I've been holding on to it for years. I just haven't had the right car, and I think now we've got the perfect car for it. So I'm thinking somewhere right here, we'll run this bad boy, maybe on the side, and we'll get this mounted on the car, on the column somewhere. And I think that would be probably a pretty good spot right there. I kind of like that. Kind of like this right here, maybe. Yeah, we'll figure it out. All right, got everything wired up. We'll test her out before I tuck all the wires away. So one other thing I want to do to make this car a little more streetable, we need to tuck those up better. We got a transmission pan leak too, but I want to focus on the exhaust, and I want to get something a little more, I guess, streetable, not just hanging off the back there. But basically, I have a couple 445s that I bought, and I'm going to put them like in an S shape like that. So basically they're going to come off the header right here, and they're going to turn inward towards the middle of the exhaust, kind of like how most of the like Camaros, Firebirds, and Novas do. And then they'll ride down the center together. Maybe we'll put an H pipe on it. And if I do the H pipe, it's going to be towards the back here, which I know technically really isn't optimal, because usually I think you want it like as close to like the headers, but I'm trying to keep this exhaust tight. So let's get these off. We'll cut these off that I welded on these straights, and then we'll put these on, and we'll tack it in place and see where we're at. All right, so here's kind of the idea. We have our header, then these two guys go to the middle, and then they'll kind of ride down. What I'll do is I'll hold it in place where I think these look symmetrical, and then I'll throw a tack weld on each one, on each little joint, like right here and right there. And yes, I know that drive shaft is wrong. But it's actually a pretty long yoke. It's in there more than it looks, so it's not dangling around and they're causing damage to the bushing. But I know that's not ideal. But anyway, we'll go ahead and tack those on right now, and then I'm thinking maybe right here we'll do a little H-pipe, a little shorty one, and we'll have to mark it, drill a hole, and then we can weld one in, and then we'll do straights all the way back, and about right here after the dip for the rear seat area. We'll have the mufflers come out there. Okay, here we go. Got our cheesy little welder set up, and I think this one's about right where I want it to be, and I think this one can follow. So I don't want it to be too close to the drive shaft, but I want it to tuck inward so that the exhaust isn't hanging low. So I think that's gonna. If we're going to put an H-pipe, probably need to come down probably about right there. So I'm gonna tack this part first, and then we'll clean everything up and weld it all. All right, we're gonna send it home now, and everybody gets to see my crappy welding. All right, we just got mufflers in that I was waiting on, and we went with a Thrush Turbo, which I know is probably gonna quiet it down a little bit, which I wanted, but I have no doubt it's still gonna sound pretty damn good. And I'll show you what I got going on under here. Finished the exhaust yesterday, and basically we've got, don't look at my crappy welds, we've got a true dual coming off, goes to the center, and then we've got them coming out here, and basically right here, this little indentation is what I'm going to use for the muffler. I have these Spintex, which sound amazing. They're also super loud, and I want to daily this thing, so I want it a little bit quieter, but the offset is what I needed. These are a center in, offset out. I needed a offset in so the muffler can move over here and not hit the drive shaft, and then center out. And eventually I will have tailpipes for this, but right now we're just going to do a 45 dump right at the axle. So I need to cut these down, measure them first, cut down, and then we can throw our mufflers on. And then we're going to paint this all black, and then we'll send it home. What we're going to do now is cut some 45 turndowns into exhaust tips, because for some reason no auto parts store carries 2 exhaust tips, so I had to buy these ugly turndowns. And you're probably wondering, Kevin, why aren't you using a chop saw? Put it at a 45 and cut it. Yeah, that would be a great idea, except my chop saw is broken. So we're going to use this. These are temporary anyway, because I'm going to order tailpipes to go all the way out the back. This is just to finish today, get it hung up. This way I can start driving the car, the exhaust is actually hanging, and no more mufflers falling off in the street. So let's make our first cut. And that's all we need, just a little bit of a turn down so it's not going directly back, kind of at the ground a little bit. We'll trace it on that one. But like I said, these are temporary anyway, so I don't need them to be perfect. I just need them to turn down. Okay, So we got our exhaust done, hanging, painted it black, both sides going down the center. I didn't do the H pipe, might not. I also still need to fix those cooling lines that are just hanging. But in the meantime, let's get this on the ground and see how it sounds. It definitely got a lot quieter, but it still has a nice deep tone to it. Check it out. That's with the new springs. She did drop a little. I cut a little bit of the springs off, about a half coil, just to give it a little more drop, because I knew with the new ones it was probably going to sit too high. And it's looking pretty good. Ride height looks pretty nice. It's got a slight rake in the rear. And now that we've done that, we need to go through the steering, because it still wanders all over the place. And we've changed the geometry of everything. So we've got some Moog steering parts. We'll get that tore off, the old parts, and then we'll take off the front wheels and we'll do an alignment here. But real quick, look at the front springs. Look at that. How does that happen? What the heck, dude? I knew this car was sitting all wah wah. You could tell right there. Look at that, dude. I don't know, but I knew something was up with those springs. But anyway, really happy with this. Got the front bumper on. Car is starting to look really good. Check it out. Let's get into that steering. We got our wheel off, so now we're going to go ahead and take off both tie rod ends. There you go. So I'm going to take the new parts and the old parts, lay them out like this, and basically get them started and just try to get them close to the old orientation. We know it's wrong right now because the alignment's pulling a lot, but at least we're going to get it close to start with, and then we can start adjusting everything. It's pretty close. Okay, that's pretty close to where it's at now. So we'll go ahead and start with that. Throw it on the car. All right, let's do the other side now. So now we're going to use my handy dandy cheesy little alignment tool here. A couple tape measures and plates on each side. I've got it as close to level as I can get it, each plate. We'll put the tape measures on and see where we're at. So right now we're way off. We're over 60 inches on that side, and we're like 59 3/8 on that side. So we're going to adjust this, and that's going to turn the front out because it's towed in way too much. So we're going to set that. Let's see. So we'll keep adjusting until we get it where we want it. So now I've got it at, this is at 5 foot, and this is at 59 inches and 15/16. So we're a 1/16 in, which is what I want, toe in. And that's going to put just a slight drag, because I've had alignment shops give it to me like dead on, and then the car does this. It's all over the place. And a 1/16 toe in, I think is perfect. And that'll allow the car to not be so squirrely on the road. So let's do the other side. This side matches up the same. We're a 1/16 behind 5 foot, and we're right at 5 foot on that side. So we're going to call that good. Now that we've got our steering where we want it, we'll go ahead and snug up all the clamps. And then I went ahead and put cotter pins on everything, including the ball joints, because I never did when we did the springs. And we should be good to go. And I know what you're kind of thinking. Kevin, why would you not replace the idler arm? Why would you not clean up? Listen, this is a daily driver here. I don't have time for that stuff. Actually, to be honest, the tie rods that were in it felt perfectly fine. Like, they probably didn't even need to be replaced. I can imagine this idler's probably in pretty good shape too. But if it's a problem going down the road, if we got a lot of sloppiness or looseness, I will address that. But for now, I'm just going to leave it as is. And then for the control arms, I did buy ball joints, upper and lower, and I was going to replace all of that. But I'm thinking that maybe I'm going to put tubular control arms on this. So I don't want to touch the caster on the alignment yet, and I don't want to touch anything else. I don't want to get too heavy into it because I'm going to end up redoing everything anyway. So this is kind of just so we can keep driving it and at least drive somewhat straight down the road. But eventually this will all get gone through, and I will do it the right way. Real quick, you guys, wanted to let you know that I've got another project car that I've got in the works here. I bought it earlier this year, and it's a left for dead kind of car, but it's a ratty Datsun. It's a 1974, and it's a 260Z, and I've put a 6.2 liter LS in it, so it's kind of a 620Z now. 6.2, 620, you know. But anyway, I think it's a pretty cool little car, and this thing is going to be a rocket. So this is basically what's in LS3. This is an L92 6.2 liter out of an Escalade. It's got a Camaro intake, injectors, and throttle body on it. And it's also got a 6-speed manual down there from also a Camaro. So I'm getting ready to fire this up. I'm going to throw the harness on, the swap harness, program the computer, and get that running real soon. And this thing is going to be a certified ripper. Let me know in the comments if you guys are interested in seeing more content on this little car. I haven't really filmed a whole lot, but I have filmed some stuff. So if this is something you're interested in seeing, please leave me a comment. Let me know what kind of stuff you want to see on this, and just let me know if that seems something cool that you want to see in a future episode. I appreciate it. All right, so that's going to be it for today's episode. We got our carb dialed in, we got our kickdown working, we got our exhaust finished all the way out back, so we're not choking on fumes and our eardrums aren't bleeding the whole time we're driving it. We even went through the steering a little bit just to make this thing a little less sketchy and a little more safe on the road. But that's not it. Those rear end gears in this thing are dogging this car down, and that's a problem for me. We're going to make this a real street machine, and that's where this comes in. We picked up a 10 bolt with a 373 and a posi gear. It's got Moser axles, drum brakes are already ready to go on it, and it also came with some Caltracs and some Caltrac bars that are going to keep this thing planted to the ground. She's going to be a ripper. Stick around and find out next time on Saturday Speed Shop.